Hello everyone and welcome to Write and Speak Better podcast with your host Mandela of Nigeria and of South Africa. So today we'll be talking about the ultimate guide to good storytelling in public speaking and presentation. So what we'll be looking at today is what exactly does it mean to tell a good story? Maybe you want to talk to an audience or you want to talk to a particular set of people. What does it mean to tell a good story? What is the template of storytelling? The story needs to always have a positive outcome. Can I make up a story or can I fabricate a story which is not real in my presentation or in public speaking? When can I tell a good story? Is it at the beginning of the presentation or at the middle or towards the end? All of this we are going to cover in this podcast. But before I continue, please don't forget to subscribe. That is the best thing you can do for me right now. Subscribe to this podcast by giving it a 5-star and giving it a wonderful review. I will very much happy. And you can as well send it to your friends and family, to your classmates, to your colleagues, to your opposite number and tell them about this podcast because it's really going to be very, very, very helpful. And another crazy thing you can do for me is to tell your friend, just tell somebody, let them subscribe to this podcast so that the algorithm can actually favor this podcast and show it to more audience. Also, if you want to join our Facebook group, we have Write and Speak Better Podcast Network on Facebook. That is our Facebook group. You can join us. That's where we talk like family and we discuss a lot of things. Please do it to join and I'll be glad to have you. Also, if you're on LinkedIn, you can follow our LinkedIn page at Write and Speak Better Podcast. Now, the and is in the sign format, 8. So, Write and Speak Better Podcast on LinkedIn page. Please do follow us and get updated with everything that we are doing. You can also send me a message if you want to send me a direct message at olalekamandela@gmail.com or follow me on any social media platform, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Facebook, olalekamandela, and just send me a DM if you want to be part of the family or if you want a collaboration or if you want to ask me any questions. I'll be glad to answer you. So without further ado, let's dive in.
Some people long for a life that is simple and planned, tied with a ribbon. Some people won't sail the sea 'cause they're safer on land. To follow what's written, but I'd follow you to the great unknown, off to a world we call our own.
Welcome back from that short musical. So let's dive right into the podcast. No time. Okay, so the first thing we are talking about today is the template of storytelling. You must have heard that storytelling is a key to content marketing that comes with a lot of creativity. And that means it's one of the ways to capture the attention of even the busiest mind to reach what we are passing across. And having a story is one thing, which is the easiest, but passing it across your audience to invoke action is another thing. And that is the hardest. So here are a 5-step template of telling a good story, both in the speaking and writing stage. The first one is, once upon a time there was. That's the first template. The second template is, they used to do this. And the third one is, then something happened or something changed. The fourth one is, so they do this because of that action. And the last stage is, this is the result of what happened. That is the 5 templates. Now I'm going to give you an example to expatiate what I just said. For example, 20 years ago, Mrs. X started a complaint. That is, once upon a time there was. That is the first template. Now, the second template is, they used to do this, which is, she had a vision and built the business. That is the second template. 20 years ago, Mrs. X started a complaint. She had a vision and built the business. Then something happened or something changed. Then last year, she was approached to sell off the complaints by investors. That is, something happened. She thought about it critically and decided not to sell it. That is the fourth template. So they do this because of that action. And the last phase, which is, this is the result of what happened. Now, our complaint is growing as one of the fastest and independent complaint in Western Africa. That is the result of our action. So that's the template of a good storytelling. The first one is, once upon a time there was. The second thing is, they used to do this. The third one is, then something happened or something changed. The fourth one is, they do this because of that action. And the last one is, this is the result of what happened. I hope you understand. Then up to my next one is, when can I tell a good story? Is it at the beginning or at the middle or towards the end of my presentation or my speech or my public speaking or whatever it is? First, your story can come up anytime in your presentation, but it is quite expedient to put your story at the beginning of the presentation. Why? Nothing other than the fact that you have to catch the attention of your audience. We know people love stories, and the best way to catch their less than 8 minute attention span is by giving them what they love, which is what? Which is stories. It is memorable. They can visualize themselves. So let's say someone wants a stage and say, I usually don't do this, but imagine you are 18 and you have to go to college, blah, 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 blah. What happens? People want to listen. Okay, what happened when you were 18? What happened to this? People love, I wouldn't want to say people love gossip, but people actually love something that will crave their indulgence. So if you actually give them a very good story, an interesting one, they are going to give you that rapt attention that you've always wanted. So I advise that you put your story at the beginning of your presentation just to catch the attention of your audience. And the next one I will be going to is, can you make up a story in a speech or presentation? People always ask, can I make up some story while trying to convey my presentation or give a speech? The answer is yes, you can. Does that mean that you are fake? No, but it depends. When we listen to fairy tales or we listen to these Cinderella stories, we listen to this mermaid, we listen to this Moana and all of these fairy tales, especially Disney movies, or we watch some Maven's movie, we know deep down that these things are not real. But somehow or somewhat we enjoy them and we commend them for a job well done. For example, when you all watch Spider-Man, you know deep down that Spider-Man is not real, but you still enjoy it. That doesn't mean they are fake. However, the way you tell your story and how you structure it will actually determine if your story will make an impact or fall under the cock and bull stories category. So even if you want to make some stories, make it sound as genuine as possible. And don't go ahead and put some exaggerated stats there. You will end up looking like a liar. This is my last segment for today. The story needs to always have a positive outcome. We see this a lot of public speaker, a lot of, all these public speaker, transformational speaker, keynote speaker. They will tell us a story in between their presentation or their speech and trying to make it, especially motivational speakers, they always want to give it a positive ending so that people can actually kind of motivated or push them to do something. But I tell you, it is not always the case. Talking about storytelling in communication, many speakers, coaches always feel the story must always have a positive outcome. It must always come out with this smiling and sweet outcome. But that's not true. Aside from the fact that we want to portray authenticity, we should make it our duty to make our audience get the emotion we want to portray. So let's take, for example, that you are invited to speak or to talk on World Earth Day about suicide. You want to talk about depression or you want to talk about suicide. You might want to tell them a tragic story of someone who committed suicide and how that action affected her family, people around her. By doing that, your listeners are going to have a sense of feeling the consequence that come with such intractable action. So if you want to talk about depression, talk about someone who actually was depressed, didn't come out of it, and the damage that happened. People are going to be open to the reality of life. Sometimes stories with dark endings and negative outcomes tend to make your listeners see the reality and what the world looks like and how vulnerable one can be to those realities. So you can tell a story that is happy, sad, funny. But you can't tell a story that sounds pompous, derogatory, insultive, or very challenging. But when it is happy, it is good. When it is sad, yes, it is good too, because you want them to see the reality. That doesn't mean that you should focus only on the sad stories. That would not be cool. You want to focus on both the happy and the sad, because you want them to see the reality of life. You want them to have a sense of what it feels like, what it looks like, to have a taste of reality. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So that is the ultimate guide to good storytelling in public speaking. Do tell me if you enjoy this. I'm trying as much as possible to make this podcast less than 10 minutes, but right now we are having over 10 minutes, so you're going to bear with me. But I hope and I believe that you have gained value from what I said. So please do wait to subscribe to this podcast, download it for your friend, for your family, for everyone out there. Make sure you subscribe to it, rate it 5-star, and give a positive comment or positive review. I will be so happy. Another crazy thing you can do for me is to make sure that you join us in our community, maybe Write and Speak Better Podcast Network on Facebook, Write and Speak Better on LinkedIn page, and Write and Speak Better Podcast on Twitter. And you can send me a direct message if you want a collaboration, or you want for sponsorship, or you want to help this podcast. Whatever it is you want to discuss with me, you can reach out to me at olalekamandela@gmail.com, or search Olaleka Mandela on any social media platform: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, LinkedIn. I am always there to answer your question. I will be glad to answer you. I'll be glad to have you. I will be very happy to have you. Also, we don't just talk about speaking here, we talk about speaking and writing, just like the name, Write and Speak Better Podcast. And we call veterans, high profile individuals, high profile public speakers, coach, therapists to come and talk on this podcast. So do wait to stick around for some of these interviews. It promises to be very, very engaging, very, very insightful, very, very informative, and very, very good. So I wish you best of luck. Thank you so much for enjoying this podcast. My name still remains Olaleka Mandela. Have a good day. Bye.